Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the beautiful, joyful noise right here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're delighted to bring to you tonight a show which we know you'll enjoy. You've seen this man perform for many, many years. He will not only thrill your heart with a song, but he'll make you laugh all the way home. Make welcome right now, Sam Goodman. Right here, Brother Sam.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Marvin. I appreciate you clapping. I'm glad you told him to do that. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And you'll have to excuse me every once in a while. I have to do like that. I've got on one of them silk shirts and one of them pair of breeches that you ain't supposed to wear a belt with. And I have left my suspenders at home. So needless to say, I'm not going to get any deep breaths, and I'm going to have to hang on to what I've got here. We was up in, way up in Pennsylvania. That's up close to New York. I don't know whether you've ever been up there or not, but there's a whole lot of things up there that you ought to see sometime. I remembered when we was up there, it kind of came to my mind about when I was up there in the Army. I took basic training at a place called Sampson Airplane Field, New York. It wasn't far from Niagara Falls. I went over to visit the Niagara Falls. I don't know whether you know what that is or not, but it's something about like a great big old dam. It's just natural, and the water just coming across there, tons of it. I mean, absolutely just tons of water coming across there. And I was standing there looking at them falls, and up walked a guy, and you could tell he was from Texas. He had a great big old Texas hat on. He had on a pair of them real tight Levi's. And them Texas boots, he hadn't had them things off all of his life. And he stood there and he watched that water fall across them rocks. Tons of it. Every once in a while he'd pop his knees like that. And about that time one of them city slickers from New York walked up. Said, "I see you're from Texas." He said, "Yep." He looked at that water coming across there and he said, "Y'all got just about everything in Texas, hadn't you?" He said, "Yep." He said, "You see that water coming across there?" The Texan says, "Yep." He said, "I bet you ain't got nothing like that in Texas, have you?" He said, "Nope, but we got a plumber and walks a hatch, you can fix it." We had, oh wait a minute, don't get too enthused. I got some good ones. Later on, you're going to really get tickled. We had we went up to sing for the president. I don't know whether you've ever been up there or not, but they had us up there on the South Lawn, and they fed us while we was there. I want you to know they fed us on the South Lawn Kentucky Fried Chicken. Am I telling the truth? That's the truth, ain't it? Because they had great big old barrels sitting out there and said crispy, extra crispy, and regular and all of that. Finger looking good and all that. And we stood around there, and I have never in my life, now you're talking about weird people. Now I saw some weird people. You can't believe some of the people up there. They had this one guy come out and sing. And he had a whiskers down below his belt line. And he had a ponytail hanging down his back. And he shaved under his arm. How about that? We was talking a while ago about some of the things that have happened to the Happy Goodmans, and I said something about us being in Texas, or talked about a guy, you know, that had been to Niagara Falls. And it reminded me of the time we was out in the panhandle of Texas. Marvin's from Texas, and he don't mind me talking about them people. You can tell a Texan. Not much. But you can tell him. And we was up in the panhandle of Texas, and that's, anything they have, it's bigger out there than it is anywhere else. You can go to Texas, and go somewhere from Texas. And once you leave Texas, you're nearly there. That's the truth. And we was out there, and it come a big snow. Now, they're going to have a big snow. I don't care where you are in Texas. They got bigger snows than anybody else. And we was up around Amarillo, somewhere up in there. And the driver opened the door of the bus. And a hat come sliding along on the snow. Well, I reached down and picked it up. And there was a man under it. I said, ain't you about to freeze? He said, no, sir, but my horse is about to smother to death. We had some cousins. And they wasn't too smart either. Of course, we didn't any of us get to go to school. We thought, man, when you got out of the first grade, you graduated. We had one school, and we all went to the same school. And none of us too smart. And somebody's got to be here from Alabama. He knows exactly what I'm saying. But I'll never forget when two of them first saw a lawnmower. First lawnmower they ever seen in their life. One of them had saved enough money, he bought him one. And he got him a job mowing the greens out at the golf course. Man, he was rolling in the dough. He was knocking down $1.50 a week. I want you to know he was getting rich. And somehow or another, the thing got away from him and run in the lake. You know, these water things they got out there in these golf courses. And he's sitting there on the bank of that lake just crying his eyes out. He was bawling for all his work. Y'all fan my wife over there. She's here. She's my biggest fan. And so my cousin come along and said, what are you crying about? Man, he said, I saved all my money. My lawnmower got away from me. It's in the lake. Well, he said, man, don't worry about it. He said, I'm a good swimmer. I'll dive down. I can hold my breath for 15 minutes. I'll go down there in that lake and I'll get that lawnmower. Whoa, he said, would you? She said, sure will. He dived in there and he was gone. 15 minutes went by. 20 minutes. So he got to worrying about it. And he could swim a little bit, so he thought he'd go out there and see if he could look down in there and see him. He got his hand over his eyes like that, got looking down that water, saw him down there. He's pulling on that rope. Pulling that rope for all he was worth. Hold it, don't laugh yet. It ain't to the end.
How did Sam?
He'd pull that rope, you know. And all of this old boy up there on the top looked down there and said, choke it, stupid, choke it! We had a, thank you, honey. He had saved his money, and he'd done right well. Y'all excuse me. That's that slick shirt I got on. The sleeves, they're supposed to be 33, but I bet when that thing gets sopping wet like it is now, they're 39. They keep sliding down my arm. I looked a while ago and the cuffs was hanging off the end of my fingers, and I just knew I was crippled. I couldn't find my hand. But what we done? Thank you, Rusty. Rusty's wanting me to keep going. He ain't having to sing. Just jump on him, Rusty. But these two guys, they weren't real bright. In fact, one of them's here, I think. But anyhow, don't worry, he slipped in. But he'd saved his money, and he bought him a pickup truck. And they was really getting up in the world. He got him a pickup truck. And I want you to know they was living high. And he drove by and picked up two of my other cousins. They had three of them. Well, they don't want to crowd this new truck up too much, so two of them got in the front and one in the back. And down in Alabama, over around where we was raised, it come a quick shower, and the creeks get out of bank just like that. And they was riding down the road, and it had been raining, and they missed their turn and run right off in the creek. Run that new pickup off in the creek. And the two in the front, they got out all right. Swam to the bank. but the one in the back drowned trying to get the tailgate down. A while ago, I was talking about our cousins down in Alabama, and I had told somebody this afternoon about a couple of them that had been digging a ditch, and they was working on for the WPA or PWA or whatever it was, the NAACP or something, and they were standing down in this ditch, and man, now they was shoveling dirt, and they was working hard. Then using them big long handle shovels and throwing that dirt out up on top. And they looked up, and the guy standing up on the bank in a white shirt, leaned up against a bridge in the shade, holding that bridge up. One of my cousins looked at the other and said, ain't that the boss up there? He said, yeah. He said, well, how come he's up there and we down here? He said, I don't know. Go ask him. So he just climbed out of the ditch, got up there, walked up to him and said, hey, buddy. Said, how come we down there wearing the handles out of them shovels and you stand up here in the shade on this bridge, holding that bridge up? The boss looked at him and said, stupidity. He said, huh? He said, stupidity. He said, what's that? Had his hand up there on that concrete post like that. He looked at old boy. He said, just double up your fist and hit my hand just as hard as you can hit it. Boy, and that made that old boy feel so good he's going to get to lay it on him. Just been wanting to for a week. And he hauled off, and just as he turned loose, the boss let his hand fall like that. Boy, and there was meat, blood, and fingernails hanging on that concrete post. He grabbed his hand and went running back down the ditch. His cousin looked at him. He said, brother, what'd he say? He said, stupidity. That's what it is. The boy looked at him. He said, well, what's that? The old boy took his hands and put them up over his face. He said, he said, take your shovel and hit my hand. I had been out mowing the yard. I'd been at home by myself all day. And I don't know where you like I am or not, but it seems like that just as sure as the hottest days come along, that's the tallest the grass grows. That's right. And the tireder you get is the time that the garbage begins to build up in the house. At my house, if we don't eat all week long, we still carry out 3 sacks of garbage every morning. I believe that Kroger sells something that you can mix with a little water and have instant garbage just like that. But get back to this lawnmower. I had pushed that lawnmower all the morning. I was so hot I was about to die. And I thought, well, I'm fixing to quit and go fix me something to eat. And I had pushed it all morning before I found out it was one of them kind that you could just push a little lever and it'd pull itself. Stupidity. But I went in the house and I was sitting there and I had fixed me a beautiful ham and cheese sandwich. I had loaded that thing up with, real mayonnaise and real cheese, cheddar cheese, and a big thick slice of ham. None of that Weight Watchers bread. I had the real stuff. And I got me a fruit jar. And I filled that thing full of iced tea. And I sat down there at the table. And I was going to eat me a bite while my wife and kids was out. And so I thought, well, I'll just flip the TV on while I'm sitting here. It's about noon. And I don't know whether you know it or not, but the airwaves are full of troubles during the day. Now you have got them. If it ain't some doctor, It's some doctor's wife. And if it ain't some lawyer, it's some lawyer's wife. But it's the biggest mess I have ever heard in my life. Well, I had took one bite out of that sandwich, and the TV warmed up, and there was a man and woman standing there looking eyeball to eyeball. They looked like two sick kittens. She says, "Don't tell Chuck." She said, "He'll go and tell Charlie." Then Charlie will tell Tara. Then if Chuck and Tara know, they'll go tell Phoebe. Then she'll tell Nina and Cliff and Palmer. Well, now by then, I'm down in the floor. I want to know what it is that Chuck ain't supposed to tell. I pushed that sandwich back, and I got down there right close to eyeball of that television. Then they said, then they might go and tell Kelly. And said, if Kelly knows, he'll tell the kids. And then the kids will probably go tell Langley. And then the deal will be off. Well, Chuck standing there, tears rolling down his face. And I got down there and I was hollering, "Come on, Chuck, tell us what it is." And I'm about to squall. And about that time, Morris the cat come and eat my sandwich while I was watching television. I want to do something special for you. You've been great to me. Not only to me, but to my family. I have a favorite song that I'd like to sing. And I may not sing, but maybe just a verse of it. But if this album ever sells anything, and if I ever accomplish anything in life, it'll be because that God has been great to me. I have a wife and two beautiful boys I'm proud of. But if it hadn't been for greatness of God, I couldn't have any of them. I'll not sing this like possibly some of the greater voices you've ever heard, but I'm going to sing it like Sam would sing it. And if it turns out all right, we'll just leave it on the record, Marvin, if it's all right with you. Okay? I'd like to sing a verse in the chorus of How Great Thou Art. Okay? O Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all this world thy hands have made, I see the clouds, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sing my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sing my soul, my about you helping me sing the chorus? Will you do that? Then when we get to the end, if you can't hit the high note like I did, don't worry about it. I'll probably not get it again either. Okay? Let's sing the chorus. Then sing my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art. How great thou art. Then sing my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art. How I don't ask for riches untold. I don't ask for silver or gold, nor a king do I want to be. My prayer is to be more like thee. Let my feet walk down dusty road. Let my hands lift somebody's load, and my life an open book to be. Lord, my prayer is to be more like thee. I don't ask to be of worldly fame. I don't ask in lights to see my name, but on heaven's scroll let it be. My daily prayer is to be more like thee. Let my feet walk down dusty road. Let my hands lift somebody's load. Let my life just an open book to be. My daily prayer is to be more like thee. Oh Lord, I pray just to be more like
Now, me and that Navy, we ain't speaking. That sailing, I tell you, I'm through. I had to have something to do, so on the advice of the doc, I got me a little shop. You see, the nerves I've got is from soaking too long when my ship got hit by a plane. And right here, about 4 years back, I met little old Grasshopper McClain. The sun was burning and the desert was red hot. and his mama drove in with a flat. She went inside to cool off with something to drink, and I saw her kid in the back. He lay on the seat in the sweltering heat with hair the color of flame, a red-headed mite, but smiling and bright, little old Grasshopper McClain. I fixed her flat and was toting him around when she asked me how much she owed. And I just laughed and said, man, I'd settle for him. And to my surprise, she drove off down the road. I figured she'd come to her senses and come hurrying back. But for 3 long years, she never came. And all that time, I was mama and daddy to little old Grasshopper McClain. I'd tell him about the ships I'd sailed on the seas when I put him to bed at night. Boy, and that kid was sharp as a tack and quick as a mate for a fight. I thought I'd wait till he kind of growed up a bit and let him pick out his own name. Then one day he came running in the house with a bug in his hand and said, hey, I'm Grasshopper McClain. Yeah, he'd mimic my walk and mimic my talk, and like my shadow, he'd just follow me around. Even had to be checked every time I was by the Navy doc over in town. The doc would laugh and thump his little old chest and say, feller, you right as rain. Then he'd turn to me and say, you're going to be a new man, thanks to little old Grasshopper McClain. Now, I guess you wonder why I'm telling you all of this. My life wouldn't be too sad, but for a mama that come to take what was really mine. That's why I'm doing time in this dirty old cell. Oh, if I had the money to go my bail, that would be great. But my life wouldn't be too sad, even here in this jail, if I only had the little Grasshopper McClain. I wish I had you, buddy. I love you. Now, I've seen the footprints that have been left by those that this world would say are great. And I've seen the sands that would fall upon them as history closed the gate. But there's one whose footprints that have been left, a mark this world could ne'er erase, and left the pathway to the sky for those who would seek his face. I still can see those footprints in a carpet crushed by grief, when my little baby's fevered brow stained all I call belief, and the storms of my confusion seem to hide the master's face. Oh, but I can see his footprints. You see, his glory filled all of the place.
Those footprints have left their mark upon the road of Galilee. Those blood-stained footprints have left their mark on the hill called Calvary. Those footprints have left their mark upon the shifting sands of time. But praise the Lord, they left their mark upon this heart of mine. Those footprints have left their mark upon the road to Galilee. Those blood-stained footprints have left their mark on a hill called Calvary. Those footprints have left their mark upon the shifting sands of time. But praise the Lord, they've left their mark upon this heart of mine. Oh, but praise the Lord, they left their mark upon this heart of mine.
Dear daughter, I tiptoed into your room tonight, and I looked down at you while you slept. You were so lovely. My heart nearly broke, and I thought how very much like a sleeping beauty a little girl is when I tuck you in at night. I never know how old you'll be when you awake. One evening you crawl on my lap, throw your arms around my neck. And the next morning, you may be much too grown up for that sort of thing. You're so quickly approaching the awkward age, too young to drive the car, and yet too old to be carried into the house, half asleep on your daddy's shoulder. I have a secret that I've never told you, Sleeping Beauty. You're going on a very exciting trip. You'll travel from yesterday all the way to tomorrow. It's a rapid journey, and you'll travel light, leaving behind your measles and mumps, them little freckles and bumps and bubblegum, and me. Now I promise not to feel too old when you discover the world is more important than your daddy's lap. Yesterday you were blue-jeaned and pigtailed, the neighborhood's best tree climber. And tomorrow you'll be blue organdy, ponytail, and you'll view the world from a loftier perch, a pair of high-heel shoes. Yesterday you could mend a doll's broken leg with a hug. Tomorrow, you'll be able to break a young man's heart with a kiss. Yesterday, you could get lost one aisle away from me in a supermarket. Now I have to worry about losing you down another aisle to some strange young man. You see, just at the point where your growing pains stopped, mine began. Yesterday, you were kind of a pain in the neck when you were around. Tomorrow, well, you'll be an ache in my heart when you're not. Tomorrow, you'll lay aside your jump rope, tie up the telephone lines. And that little boy that used to push you in the mud, man, he'd fight to set out a dance with you. The clock up the stairs is counting the minutes for you, and the sky is saving the brightest stars, and the sun is waiting with its shiniest day. Oh, I can't expect you to live in a dollhouse forever. Sooner or later, the butterfly sheds its cocoon, and the smallest bird must try its little wings. But when you grow up and out of my arms, when you finally get too big for my shirt, I'll still recall how you used to scatter dust and dolls throughout all of the rooms in the house, and how you used to spend sunshine too. Now the dust is settled, and your mom picked up all the dolls, but the sunshine will always fill the corners of our heart. So here I am talking in your sleep because, well, if you looked on my face, you'd laugh. And if I spoke with this lump in my throat, I'd cry. Yep. Honey, when I looked at you tonight, you were a sleeping beauty. So I tiptoed over and kissed you. You didn't wake up. I knew you wouldn't. According to the legend, only the handsome young prince could open your eyes. And I'm just the father of the future bride. So you sleep on, pretty thing. Tomorrow you'll awake, and you'll be a young lady, and you won't even realize you've changed courses in the middle of a dream. But you might notice a little change in me. I look a little different. Somehow, I look a little sadder, a little wiser, but a whole lot richer. For tonight, I kissed a princess, and I feel like a king.